Kevin Boyle saying Rodgers has the power to sort the Taylor contract or tell the fans why he's not signed. It's stupid to think it's disrespectful to chant KT's name. Taylor is a Celtic player, Tierney isn't. He left the club for big bucks. He now wants to come home because he can't stay fit enough in the EPL. Do we really need a croc? That is pretty harsh, I think.
Wow.
This one here from Martin. Like him or not, Taylor's been a decent servant, but it's time for a change. Wee tippy-tappy wing-backs on both flanks are a Celtic weak point against better teams. And finally, Laura on Facebook says, I've no issues with his comments. I understand him showing respect to one of his current players and ignoring rumour.
Well, it's not. That's the thing. It's not rumour. Listen, Kieran Tierney's a guy who would love to have back. Kieran Tierney we know would one day, either sooner or later, wants to come back. It's not going away, that kind of thing. And listen, Celtic fans chanting Kieran Tierney is because they're excited by the prospect of him coming back at some point. Is that about Greg Taylor? I don't think it is. I mean, if Celtic fans are also talking about Jota coming back, because obviously his struggles are continuing in France, right? So if it comes to pass that Celtic make a move to try and bring Jota back, and they start singing Jota's name, is that a slur against Nicholas Kuhn and Dyson Maeda? Of course it's not. It's a quality player that they once loved, perhaps coming back. I think you've got to take away the Tierney singing and Greg Taylor are separate issues. I don't think singing Tierney's name is a slight against Greg Taylor. I think the vast majority of Celtic fans know and appreciate the work that Greg Taylor has done in the last 3 or 4 years at Celtic. Listen, he's been high up in the list of Player of the Year awards, which are voted by fans. In the last, I think 2 years ago he came in like second or third or something like that on that list. So they know that he's done a good job for Celtic. They also love Kieran Tierney. He's a big favourite. So I think those 2 points are separate. I think singing about Kieran Tierney isn't a slap in the face to Greg Taylor. Listen, Greg Taylor might feel that way, and I can understand that as well, but it shouldn't take it that way. The same way that James Forrest shouldn't get offended when they sing about the next winger that comes in from and then sold 2 years later, and they get a song for 2 years, and there's James Forrest who's stockpiling medals like a hardware store. There's my songs. I think he just gets home and accepts that sometimes familiarity breeds a wee bit of contempt sometimes. Whereas I don't think Greg Taylor should feel that he's slighted by them singing about Kieran Tierney.
If Greg Taylor's got a reason to feel unloved right now, surely it's the fact that he's still sitting with a new contract on the table, and that is something that you would think Brendan Rodgers can fix.
If Celtic do have this undying love for Greg Taylor, it's a very easy way to show it, and that's match his demands for his contract. I know that's not part of the manager's remit. That's above and beyond, and that there's issues.
No, but he can put the foot down, Mick. He can put the foot down. He can go upstairs and say, "Listen, sort this."
Listen, and I've written before. Listen, I don't disagree with Greg Taylor. I mean, listen, from what I understand, he's not asking for the earth, right? I mean, I think it's a guy who's playing 40+ games a season for the last 4 seasons and delivered titles and trophies left, right, and centre. I think he's entitled to say, "Listen, I'm not a regular on the team sheet. I deserve to be rewarded in kind." I don't have a problem with that. I totally agree with it. I think he's a player that's worth keeping. I think he's worth his weight in gold. I've said that many times in print and on here. So I can completely understand that. So certainly, like I say, within their power, they want to make him feel loved. Give him a big check. Do you know what I mean?
In the comment section as well, I get called out for calling Kieran Tierney world class yesterday. Tierney's a good defender when fit, but world class. Come on, Daniel. He can't get a game at Arsenal even when fit, and he's rarely fit. But Fraser, I stand by it. When he's fully fit, Kieran Tierney, he's still only 27. I think he's one of the best left backs in Europe on his day.
Fully fit Kieran Tierney would absolutely tear the Scottish Premiership apart. There's no doubt about it, but that is the big question, isn't it? How fit is he? How many games would you get out of him for the last 5 months of the season, the business part of the season? That's a big question. It's quite frustrating knowing that we had a well-functioning Scotland set up with Kieran Tierney on the left-hand side of 3. And going into the kind of Euros, he just knew at some point he wasn't going to see out the 3 games because of his fitness issues, and that's how it transpired. So I just wonder how big a risk it would be for Celtic to take him back, purely because of his fitness. I know you guys have watched Celtic a lot more than me, say it's a no-brainer. But for me, he wouldn't come cheaply. You'd have to have some kind of guarantee that he was back to full fitness, and that's just always a big question mark for me. But I mean, at the top of his game, fully fit, nobody would come near him in the Scottish game.
Here's an interesting one on the Kieran Tierney debate, right? Because I heard it floated the other night, and I thought, I wonder if that's if there's something in that. How many times have we sat here recently, especially after European performances, and praised Greg Taylor for playing the inverted left back and stepping into midfield and, you know, sitting beside Cal McGregor and giving Celtic an extra body in there, and he's expert at doing it. Obviously learned it under Ange Postecoglou. I think before he was a fullback, he was a midfield player, so it's very natural for him to do that, and it's a very important part of the tactical template, especially in the European matches. Kieran Tierney, one of the reasons that he kind of fell out of favour at Arsenal was that he couldn't do that the way that Arteta wanted him to do it, so he brought in Zinchenko, because he does do that. Am I wrong in thinking, for me, Kieran Tierney's a Rolls Royce, and if he's fit, he'll do. He can go out and fill any role that you want him to fill, and he's proved that. But I wonder, is there something in that Kieran Tierney playing left back is just a guy that wants to bomb, very similar to Andy Robertson at Liverpool?
No, I don't particularly buy. I think Kieran Tierney could play that role with his eyes shut. I think he played.
That's what I think, Mick.
Listen, this is a guy who played. It became a kind of. He created a position for himself for Scotland that doesn't really exist. He was an overlapping centre half.
Yeah, and he was popping up at right wing at some points in matches.
An inverted left winger stroke centre back for Scotland. I mean, that's very. He can do anything. He can play anywhere in the park. Listen, I could see him being Celtic centre half in a back four in 4 or 5 years' time, and do it particularly well. So I don't think there's a problem. I think he could do that role. In his first spell at Celtic under Rodgers, he did play a kind of variation. I mean, the Celtic played a kind of 3-4-3 under Rodgers, with the ball, and a kind of back four without it. And he did kind of flit in between kind of midfield and fullback in that role. That wasn't a kind of an old-fashioned left-back role he played under Rodgers first time round.
No, because Lustig would tuck in to make it a 3, and Kieran Tierney had licence just to go and join the attack and build the attack down the left flank.
Pretty much where he fancied it. I mean, he scored a couple of goals from inside of the park in that kind of inverted position. We expect to see him popping up. So, I mean, a couple of long rangers, remember, in that kind of area. So I don't think that's an issue. And I think if you asked most Celtic fans, I think majority would be quite happy if they end up with Tierney and Taylor on the books at the same time.
I agree.
I think that would be the ideal scenario, really. Like you say, I don't think you can guarantee that Tierney plays 2-3 times a week, and for the short term in the near future anyway. Would the two of them be happy? Would Taylor be happy rotating? I don't know, but listen, again, it goes back to the contract. If you had a decent contract, I think he'd be quite content. So yeah, I think if the two of them are on the books and kind of sharing the duties, I don't think most folk would have a problem with that.
I was going to jump in there, Mick, because we had that exact comment come in live on YouTube just a few minutes ago. Tierney doesn't stay fit for the whole season. We need Taylor's backup. I'm not saying don't sign him, but we should be aware he will give us 2/3 of a season when fit at best. It's kind of funny because it kind of felt like Taylor or Tierney yesterday, but if they sign Tierney, they still need another left back, Celtic, don't they?
I don't think it is. As I say, I go back to that. I don't think it was a case of one or the other. I think Celtic fans know. Listen, they noticed that last year, he injured for a spell last year, and he's a big miss. I think that was a kind of moment when most fans realised that this guy was much needed. And listen, Taylor's a guy who I know for a fact played a lot of games last year when he was probably not fit to do so. He's a guy who bites down on the gum shield and gets on with it.
Yeah.
Even when he's in a state of distress, sometimes he just gets on with it. I mean, this is one of the buzzwords of the Christmas period, wasn't it? The kind of the tiredness and toughness and all that stuff. Greg Taylor has no questions to answer on that front. There's a guy who's proved over the years that he's willing to go through the old cliche pain barrier for his team. And again, I think most punters know and appreciate that as well. So wouldn't it be a case of either or, but a case of both?
He's also got a leadership role in the dressing room, Michael, hasn't he? Greg Taylor. He's one of the voices.
He's pretty much. I think obviously, Casper Schmeichel's now in there rather than Joe Hart. I think he's up there in that leadership group. He's right hand man to Cal McGregor, a big voice in the dressing room, a big winner. Listen, he's one of these guys. I think if he does depart the scene, it'd be kind of one of those people that people don't know what they've got till he's gone type situation. Listen, he has the tough game, I think. But I talk about Hampden, he had a slip up at Hampden in the cup final. But he wasn't alone. I mean, I mean, in the game at Ibrox there, it was a day when the whole team just kind of malfunctioned from top to bottom. One of those days. So you throw in the odd game, but they all do. But I think his consistency levels are really high, Greg Taylor.
Well, he also scored at Hampden, didn't he?
Aye, he scored.
He did. It was a bit of a winder, right enough, that come off about 4 players.
They all count, Mick.
They all count, exactly. But yeah, it's a funny debate, isn't it, really? Because it's talking about two guys that are good operators and good servants and hard-working guys.